We'll take those dog sides there, though.
Can't be.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, old business. LED light project. Got an email today about that I haven't read yet. Recycling, still waiting to hear from the lawyer on the contract. Purchasing policy changes in January. Reliable, Butchie, anything?
Just getting the, locks, I've been pricing the locks out, see which one I want with Tom, what's gonna work good.
Okay,
So I think I'm gonna get 15 keys to start with.
all right.
They give me the go-to.
Did you get a hold of John Bozak?
No, I haven't. I figure once I get all the keys, then I'll start
Solid waste ordinance.
herding people up.
Assistant tax collector will be after the presidential election. Do we have any applications for that, or have we put that out there yet? Oh, we haven't put it out there yet, have we? Right. Okay.
It's over.
And then, timber value, anything on that, Butchie?
Yeah, we just gotta get a good day to go look at it.
Okay.
That's all we're waiting for.
Again, with the timber, depending on where it is, it's 50 years, right? Is that what it is? Every 50 years you can't cut the timber? So I know there was some cuts some time back in the 80s around there. So, that's just kinda gotta keep that in the back.
Every 50 years?
I think it's 50 years, yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was every 50 years. Once you do a clear cut, you gotta replant.
Was it clear cut or was it selective
I
cut?
think it was clear cut back in the 80s.
It was.
Yeah.
That lot?
Well, yeah, I don't know if it was that one. I remember there was one.
Well, it's a regional logging company wants to go in there.
Yeah, they want
Cut
to
back
go in there.
he said there won't be anything big in there anyways.
Yeah, yeah. I just know if that particular property is part of, you can't do it.
Yep. Individual selectment items, what do you got, Butchie? Nothing? Right?
Call it.
Oh, can I go last?
Sure. Jeff?
I was just gonna ask if Corinna wanted to bring that thing up she brought up, inadvertently, last week in executive session. Do you wanna put that out today right now, or that application, or how did you said you wanted to discuss that, right?
Which application is it?
The one you brought, I don't know what it was. It was the one that you couldn't do an executive session that you tried last week.
About your friend's business?
Did you wanna bring that up, or?
Oh, about the cannabis being,
Yeah,
okay,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what that was about, so.
Well, we haven't done any of the applications yet. And it seems like there's one business in particular being harassed. This is how she feels, that without any of the applications, they should all be treated as equals. And so I believe that all the other businesses that have the cannabis businesses should be treated as caregiver offices, period, and abide by the ordinances until the applications are filled in. And I think David should do it because I believe that we're looking at a harassment case.
David spoke to Office of Marijuana Policy and they said the other four are all
Oh,
grandfathered.
no, excuse me, I was just gonna ask, why did you wanna bring that up in executive session last week? What's that got to do with it?
Because I believe that she's being harassed and all the other businesses should also be treated the same as
Well, that's-
right now as medical caregivers is which they're,
Sorry.
the only thing that's legal in this town at this moment until the applications are filled out.
Office of Marijuana Policy disagrees with you according to David. So, just so you know.
Okay, so just so you know, you might be facing a harassment lawsuit if you're not treating them all the same right now
She opened up in July.
as a caregiver office.
Yeah, with the wrong signage.
And right now, all
With the
that-
caregiver office with the wrong signage. The other ones are not caregiver offices according to Office of Marijuana Policy. So if she
According
feels
to
she's
our-
being harassed, she should call them.
According to our ordinances, They haven't filled out any
We
applications.
haven't put the, retail or certificates out there yet.
Right, so they should all be being treated as caregiver stores at this, not
No, 'cause they
stores,
were-
but offices.
No, because they were all open before the December 18th or 13th, 2018.
I would think they should be abiding by
Well,
our
my
ordinance
suggestion is to
right now.
call, get the person from Office of Marijuana Policy from David and call them. So. All right.
Okay.
Anything else, Jeff, for you?
No, I didn't know what that was all, had anything to do with an executive session, I didn't.
Well,
That's what it
okay,
was.
well, I'm just letting you know, I think we're looking at a harassment suit, because we're not treating them all the same, I'm just letting you know.
It's not harassment.
I don't think so.
She's doing harassment.
Listen, I don't know if
Talk to our
Since you're
lawyer
doing
about that.
personnel next, right, we're gonna go back into an executive session for
Sounds
personnel.
like we need to.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk about it there then. Alright, then after that, I'm good,
I have to request it.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
yeah.
I would like just to say that I got a new granddaughter.
Congratulations, Richard. There
She's
you go.
really cute too.
Congratulations.
When was she born?
Cost me more money.
Well, my wife
Girls
wants a
always do,
granddaughter.
they
That's her
really
grandson.
can't
She wants a
swallow.
granddaughter.
I gotta get a cigar.
Cassidy Rose?
Cassidy Rose, yeah.
I like it. Very
I
good.
can look
Butch
that up for
Cassidy.
you.
Yeah, that's.
I like it.
Couldn't name her Butch.
All right, Karina, you have anything for
Nope.
individual selectmen
I
issues?
don't.
Okay.
You know?
No, got nothing. That's you, Paul.
It's like, I'm done.
You haven't been getting a lot of your emails, so. Planning clerk over here has been getting a lot of inquiries about marijuana.
Yep.
It would be helpful to me, and I'm not sure about the rest of the board, it would be to me to have a workshop, just so that James, yourself, you just bring us up to date of where we actually stand.
We need to have a town meeting to change the ordinance because of the lawsuit in Portland that changed what's legal and what's not legal. So with the COVID, I don't know how we're gonna have a town meeting where people can vote. Yes,
Can we enforce just with things that there haven't been a lawsuit about? And then those things that need to be changed?
we can't open it up for applications because of
Until it's
that.
completely.
Yep, but we can enforce the things on there, and they are in effect, so like if you have a caregiver facility, you can only have a small sign on your building, that's part of the ordinance. We can't hand out any of the permits or start the licensing period until we have a town meeting. And I don't know how we're gonna have a town meeting or a vote. I mean, we can't have another special election, that would just be crazy.
Has it
Special
been,
election wouldn't work on this anyway,
Well, it's gonna be a town meeting for this.
because you have to have a public hearing and you're gonna be in trouble anyways.
Right, oh, I gotcha. Yes, Karina?
has it been discussed with a lawyer that we have home rule and it's a lot different than Portland?
People are people, I mean, it's,
No, home rule,
Every
Huh?
town has home rule, but it's different, like how I had kind of tried to explain it before, so there are certain things that you have home rule on, but there's certain things that.
We can't enforce it, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah,
According to
that's
the
what
court.
found.
The court found it unconstitutional, so we cannot enforce it.
I learned on that class I was in today on the marijuana.
So what do we do if people keep opening? Or if they
They
go
can't,
from the
they-
medical caregiver and they go into the adult rec?
They can't,
But what if they do?
then they'll get a letter from David.
And they'll say,
It can't be in the same
"Well,
building, but it can be on the same property, in two
Right,
separate
it's
buildings.
two separate buildings,
Yeah.
yep. Yep. So the only people that can continue to operate legally according to Office of Marijuana Policy, which David has been in touch with, and they told him that, are the 4 stores that are there.
And medicinal doesn't need a special permit to cultivate
Right.
because it's part of their automatically.
Yep, they can cultivate, they can set up a grow, they can do any of that. And if it's just a grow, they can have it, it doesn't have to be on 202, because it's medical. The only thing they couldn't do technically is a new place can't open up and rent space, because they won't have a permit for that. But someone who's already been operating as a rental place for medical can, we just can't collect the fee of $1 a square foot until we can give out the,
so is there some way we can put like a halt on so many of them, all of a sudden, wanna just all of a sudden come right in here and start building?
well, they can build, they just can't open. They can open a caregiver facility as long as it's at their house, or if it meets all the guidelines and they don't have big open signs out front on the road and things like that.
Are you talking about a moratorium on how many are allowed in the town? Like 10 businesses for a medical, well, you can't limit
Can't
medical at
limit
all.
medical.
But the recreational, is that what you mean? Like a limit on how many?
The adult
There
use.
can be no adult use ones right now. They're not allowed to be adult use in the town. They need to request a medical card when people.
Yeah, it has to have the medical card, yes.
Yeah, so they can't do that, but they can open up a medical caregiver facility as long as they follow.
But, so they do that and all of a sudden, we look for hour 6 once everything opens, right? So we're allowing 6, right?
Yeah, the retail locations.
Okay, and,
So they can't open a retail location because they weren't open before December. They have to have been open before December 13th, 2018. And there's only 4 in town that were. And
Right.
Office of Marijuana Policy recognizes all 4 of those. They don't recognize somebody that just opened up in July because somebody told them they could.
so if somebody wants to build a building and start growing,
They can if it's medical.
if it's medical, yeah.
Yep, and we can't stop them even after the ordinance passes. Or even after with the ordinance in effect, we can't stop them, they can do that. So,
You can't
That's a
limit
state-
them, you
yeah,
can't
that's a
limit
state
medical.
rule.
Mhm.
Well, you can't limit caregivers, you can limit other aspects of medical.
right,
Oh, okay.
yeah, Jim,
So should the planning board still have people come for site plan review, like these people there wanna build?
for a caregiver facility, they should.
for new things, but our criteria for site plan review is different than the ones in the marijuana ordinances, so those are like really stringent and whatnot, so we'll be like, okay, well, this is all right, and then even though we put, okay, we're not okaying that, could they sit there and turn around and say, well, you already said that the building was fine?
I think they could go in front of them, but the planning board won't be able to okay it unless they qualified for one of the permits.
Actually, no, because the way it's set up, the planning board is not doing any marijuana approval. They're checking planning board issues only, it's a site review. And they're not doing any site review stuff for marijuana, that's all code. So what the planning board should probably do is in their findings, they should always, for anyone coming in for marijuana, say that this is a build only. It's not permission to do business, it's not licensing, it's nothing.
Right.
Because I know there are businesses who are gambling on getting a license and want to start the process so that some of them would actually like to have already started building.
Right,
But they want to be ready so that as soon as they get a license, they can break ground.
yeah,
So they're trying to front load the process, and that's one of the things they can front load without a large expense.
so I guess we need to figure out a way to have a town meeting to change the ordinance, which needs a vote of the people.
I just think we're just gonna flood this town too much
Yeah.
Apparently.
Hold on,
and hurt the people that are trying to do the business, you know what I mean?
Who's gonna flood?
Like any store, you know, you have 10 stores.
but there can't be that many.
Yeah.
There can't, there can only be 6 total.
Right, but I'm just saying, if you get too many of one thing, then it hurts the other people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they can't, there can only be 6. So, yes, Deborah?
I just have a question for Tony. Are you advocating only for that one store, or are you advocating for several others that want to open here in town?
I'm advocating for that store because, I mean, I'm bringing it up because it's the only one that's been targeted. And I believe she's gonna be
Just opened a month.
filing a harassment charge because nobody else has been really following the guide rules for caregiver facility or offices.
And you feel that she is?
That's up to David.
Well,
The code,
David
but you know what?
David spoken and actually has given her 3 letters, from what you said last week.
Isn't he here?
He is, but you said last week he's given her 3 letters.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You
No, I
said
didn't.
he's given her 3 letters for cease and desist, and he's targeting one business. So it's
He
just
is
wondering,
targeting one business
how do you know he's targeting one business?
because no other stores have no other stores have gotten
They've
letters.
all been open.
Because they've all been open for several
December
years.
of 2018.
Yeah, but right now they don't have approval to be a retail store.
Yes, James?
You're mistaken, Corinne. Other stores have been, had items brought up and that have addressed them.
I haven't seen anything in writing for that.
Well, you don't get any
Not all your
information.
information.
No, I don't get all the information.
It's not all your information.
All right.
It's been a long time that I
Mel,
haven't
did you
got
have a
all the
question?
information.
No, I don't, Chuck, I don't.
Okay.
I can never finish mine because everybody else jumps on it.
What else did you have, Deborah?
So my question is, how do you personally know all of this information about that one marijuana store?
Because I do get letters from David about that one store, nothing else.
Why would he send you letters about that?
He sent it to the whole board, the one
Yeah.
stop order.
So you all are advocating for this one store?
No, he sent the letter of
No, I'm
the
just saying
cease and
there-
desist, which he must have called
I'm
Karina.
just confused.
I'm gonna explain it to you.
Okay,
All of us got a copy of the letter he sent. She must have called Karina and told her that she was gonna sue the town for harassment, that's the
why would she
question.
call Karina and not the chairman?
I think they're friends. No, please, Deb.
This is your friend?
She was on the cannabis committee with us, yes.
This is your
Okay,
friend?
let's move
I
on.
met her when she applied for the cannabis committee.
That's not what I asked, I asked a yes or no
All right.
question.
We're moving on.
Is this your friend, yes or no?
Deborah, you know the answer to it. It was said during a planning board meeting.
Well,
So
why don't you just say it?
why are you
I
asking?
hate
You know the
somebody
answer.
to be my friend and
All
I
right.
wouldn't say they were my friend.
All right, let's
I
move
am a
on.
friend of Rochelle's, but I used to be a
Guys,
friend of other
please,
people too.
please. Jeez, all right. So does that answer your question? We can figure out how to do a,
Two things though, right? You gotta do the residency and the use of the fees. That's the other,
yes.
is that the
Use
only
of
two
fees.
things that's gonna be on that discussion?
There actually is a third item that should at least be considered, and that is, the number of manufacturing licenses. As people have come forward and spoken to me about, grow facilities, our initial assumption was that manufacturing was gonna be significantly separate from grow facilities. The majority of the grow facilities, both small and large that I've spoken to, want to be able to do processing as well, manufacturing. So we might want to, it's a different model than we had anticipated. We anticipated manufacturing facilities being standalone,
Right.
factory is the wrong word, but
Yeah.
standalone industry. And the way it seems to be developing is the manufacturing facilities are more a back room in a greenhouse, a kitchen.
No, I don't like the word backroom, so.
Really, that's quite a choice of words.
Not in a negative connotation, back room, but a separate room in a greenhouse. And the way the ordinances are written, since they were assumed to be a separate facility, there's only two.
What we should do is we should put an additional fee on a grow license to add manufacturing on top of the grow area.
Yeah, well, that's just one of the other things that is the only other thing that's really come up is kind of like, this is one that we probably missed the boat on.
Yeah.
And if we're going to go through this, I think it makes sense to address it now.
Yeah.
As opposed to bring it up again on the ballot later, which is what I would.
Because the
normally
state still
propose.
said that they're not doing any revenue sharing, right? And the only thing we
No,
have
yeah.
control, right?
No revenue sharing.
So the only thing we can control those fees, so if there's any other avenues, then that's the only thing the town's gonna get, we gotta figure that out, for sure.
Well, we can only use those fees to
They-
increase the infrastructure, so
No, I understand that, but that's.
of what it needs. But yeah, no, I agree. But
Because-
we want to have the licenses for
Let's be
it.
hypothetical here, we get a dozen of these things, well, we're gonna need a better pump truck to.
Oh, without a doubt, we are going to need,
Let's
yes.
just throw it out
Or
there
they'll
now.
burn to the ground in a heartbeat, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so
So-
those are the things we need to
Yeah.
come up with, changing on the ordinance.
All I'm saying is, I know the state's position was they're not doing any revenue sharing with any municipality at all, they're keeping their money, period. So the only thing we're allowed to get, they said, was fees. So,
And they have some restrictions on how.
how you can get them, what they're for, right?
Not a dollar amount, but you have to show what they're used for, and they need to be used for just implementation and infrastructure for the marijuana business.
Impact fees essentially is what they are.
So who actually needs to get together to try to
The
figure
legislative,
these all out?
the legislative body to okay it for us.
Yeah.
And then we have to do a meeting for, we'll have
Go ahead,
a
Paul.
workshop, he said.
Well, I was gonna say, could we draft the 3 questions up
I think so.
now?
I-
I mean, who, James or whoever.
Everybody,
Yeah, I've actually got rough drafts of everything, I could probably pull them together and bring them next week if you wanna see them.
Yeah,
That would be
just,
cool.
That would be just for the board.
if we have the questions ready.
Yeah.
And ready for the meeting, then if we see a window come open that we can.
Sure.
Throw a town meeting in, we won't need a bigger timeframe.
Yep,
it makes
That's
sense.
what I'm thinking.
okay.
I just have one more question.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry, I didn't see you over there, yep.
So, in the future, so we're making these changes, so because there's any legal issues
Yes.
with other towns.
Yeah.
So what if something else changes in their legal issue, so are we gonna have to go through that, halt everything and go through the whole process?
Not if it comes after we issue the fees, issue the license, open the licensing period. So once we get the town meeting scheduled and it all passes, I think we should kick it in within a week of that ending, so it gets going, and if we have to make changes, we'll deal with it when it comes.
I think you're gonna see that no matter what.
I was gonna say,
Every
rumor
year.
has it, the state themselves are not real happy with, some of the stuff that's being challenged, so they even talks amongst them to roll back rules and regulations completely, you know, what they can and can't allow.
Yeah.
So, so, I mean, it's up in the air, you know, it's a state mandate, and then they do it like everything else, don't think it through, and then, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
And then we have to pick up it somehow, and then the state might be rolling stuff back, so.
Make us
We can
bad.
roll it back, just not allow stores.
That's up to the state, you know?
Just have not knowing what you can and cannot do, and, you know, people getting frustrated and.
Yeah. Well, it was just you know, I just kinda threw it together, it was nothing. You know, say, we're gonna open up marijuana, okay.
All right, what next, Paul?
This is the, letter that Lynn pulled out of her magic bag there a few minutes ago. This has to do with the, remote access for personnel in the office.
For their phones?
No, for Trio.
Trio.
Okay.
Yeah, for business. With this week's event with the treasurer not being able to come into the office, she could have done more at home if she had the access to the Trio, to her files. We checked in this earlier, back when we had the first COVID thing. What was,
It was a while ago.
yeah, May, March, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But the cost of it is $7 per month per user, $135 to set it up.
We should give Lynn access too, so she can work on Wednesdays too, for free.
Well, wasn't that for 3 licenses?
That's per license, $7 per license.
$7 per license.
Is it set up per license too?
It just says
No,
$135 to set it up.
Yeah,
I'm okay with it, how about everybody else?
Now, what was the license for to?
Trio access.
Access to computer files,
so that if, like, I had COVID, I could work from home, or they.
So we ain't just like shutting down the town hall, you know, like the federal government.
Lynn, did you put that just for the 1 person, or did you do the 3?
Well, this is the question we.
it says right here, the treasurer and the town clerk. Right, do you have a copy of this?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I think we should add Lynn as well.
Well, Lynn is,
Well, Lynn and the treasurer and,
town clerk, I'm sorry.
Town clerk. no, that's 2, I think we should have one for you too, Lynn.
Does Lynn want one?
Yeah, I'll do it, because I was doing it from home before, remember? And
Yeah.
it was harder when I was trying to do it on my phone,
Okay,
when the whole thing first hit.
So I would make a motion to make it 3 remote access accounts, so that Lynn can also,
For which 3?
so make a motion for that, if anyone would like
Which
to
3?
second that.
No, which 3?
Lynn, Mary, well,
The positions.
yes, the treasurer, the town clerk, and the office manager.
executive assistant.
Supervisor.
The executive assistant, yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
It's gonna be specific.
I know, I'm trying.
Get that. You want this back?
Yeah, I'll copy you. so-
Wrong word down here. Okay. On that same subject,
Come on, Paul. That's a thick package.
He raised his voice on that one.
Yeah, no, that's a thick package, what is this?
this is where we started last week, and we just we need to go into it in greater detail.
All those questions?
Yeah.
I'm just plain sick.
We ran the trouble after that, so.
We did.
I'm just sick, leave it at that.
Told you, we're gonna,
Yeah, well, no, it's fine. Hey, it's how you make it work, right?
yeah,
You don't do nothing, nothing ever happens. You do
It's true.
something, something happens. So
that's it.
So do we wanna thin down these symptoms? Is that what we wanna do?
Not so much send down the symptoms as how do we react to them? If they select any one of these, do we?
Well, COVID-19 themselves, under the CDC, has a list of symptoms, and they're very identical just to a regular cold, a lot of it.
Yeah,
However, like I said last meeting, Nassau Community Health Center does free COVID testing for anybody. So, when they do that standard testing, the better testing, so,
flip on the backside.
That's the problem.
We need just to work through those questions, and we can change it, whatever you want. We just need to work through it so that Lynn has something to work by when somebody comes in and gets her,
I would
I
think.
got five symptoms today, what do I do?
Right, well, no, that's it, No, I hear you.
Go home.
Like, is there a limit?
Well, this
Do you
is
need
true.
three,
Yeah.
or 10, or do you need 4 or 5, you know what I mean? Well, there's been people who have had 5 symptoms and get tested and it's not COVID, it's something else, so, but.
But still, if you even got 5 of these symptoms and it's not COVID, you shouldn't be here.
Right.
I guess, but.
Yeah.
But I see you get a runny nose and congestion, that's no reason, I mean, just to,
I agree with you, there's no reason to stop living.
so, is that what you want us to, thin them down a little?
Yeah, to figure out what is the end game?
I think,
Yeah.
if, this is what I'm gonna say, only because we're doing this at the federal level, not, we gotta get tested all the time. If you look at I think it's like 5 markers for, the COVID, under the CDC guidelines. If you hit those markers, go get the test. The test, some of them do 45 minutes, you get results on 3 to 5 days. The government uses the 3 to 5 day standard one because it's a more accurate test. With the remote access you give it to the people that need it, for that we just voted on, should they get tested with, there's nothing to say they can't remotely work from home with it. We do that with, like, I got people working from home too. Well, actually, I'm the only one that's still going in and out of my office, all my other people are home. So, yeah. So,
Nobody wanted to work with you?
no, it's just, you know what it is, but I'm the youngest one. So they're like, hey, you're young enough, you can handle it.
That's just make you thinking right now, anyway.
Yeah. So, that's what they do. We went with the 5 CDC guidelines, which you can pull right off the Federal Register. And then, like I said, Nassau Community Health Center right on Oak Street.
But will they do that if you have insurance? Cause some places
Well,
they tell people if
listen,
you have insurance.
No, I went there and I got the gold standard Blue Cross Blue Shield from the federal government, and they said it doesn't cost me nothing. So I don't know, because I'm a federal employee, I don't know, but, and
Pretty
they
much
did
have the
it.
gold standard here too.
Yeah, so they asked me, they did ask me my income, so I did have to list my income, but, as far as I know, it didn't cost me nothing, because they said it was free. So, but
You
what
put
they.
$12 an hour?
That's it.
Yeah,
Jeff,
yeah.
not to interrupt, but, a friend of mine works at Nassau, and she does the COVID testing.
Yeah, she tested me.
So, okay.
They are.
So it is as simple as calling Nassau and scheduling your COVID appointment,
Yeah,
and you roll in. It's a very simple process, and it does take the 3 days. And they're actually doing remote, mobile, COVID stuff, so they're going, there, but then they're going to Bitterford and other places, so.
okay.
I just messaged her, I will try to get the number, so that way you guys have it, but, yeah.
As I look at this, I'm thinking that we're over addressing a situation.
Yeah.
We have 6, 7 employees that would be filling this out.
Mhm.
I think if we give them each a copy of this and
Distracted themselves.
say to them, please, if there's anything on here, please have a discussion with Lynn from 6 foot distance.
We can't lose it.
And then,
Less than 15 minutes too, by the way.
yes. And then,
Talk to me through the window.
and then, if someone feels, let's face it, if someone out there feels, they come in, as soon as anybody now coughs,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, you start thinking, oh my God, I hope I don't, I hope it goes away in a few hours. So I think if they just we have a thing where they sign in each day and say, optional sign in.
Right.
Say, I don't have any of the symptoms or any of the issues, and I haven't been around anybody, I'm good today. And if they do, discuss it with Lynn, and Lynn can send out an email to us, ask them to go home, and we can
Right.
go from there.
Well, the latest thing I've heard now is that it's not so much the symptoms as whether or not you've had contact with somebody that's tested positive.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's so many asymptomatic people.
Yeah, but that's,
That's
That's one
where
of
the
the
problem
questions.
lies from the
Right,
research
but-
I did for the other day, is that if you have to quarantine if you've been in contact with somebody that has tested positive, you have a test and it's negative, you need to quarantine for 14 days. I talked to the state, because that could be a false negative because you've got an incubation period. It's when you have symptoms and you go and get a test because you think you might have COVID, and you get the test back, it's
See,
a negative, you
the-
don't have to quarantine.
I thought the state changed it to 10 days on their new
Yeah.
executive order. I'm pretty sure that's what it said. When did you talk to
Well,
them?
the state,
The other day?
yeah, they were recommending 14 days.
But what if you were around that person 8 days ago? What's the period of, and then you get tested and you're negative? No, so say I'm around you and you call me and it was,
Yeah.
we're around each other on Friday, you find out you have COVID on Saturday,
Yeah.
and now it's Thursday and I go get tested 6 days later, I test negative.
Yeah.
Is that incubation period over because it's 6 days later?
Wasn't there something about having 2 consecutive negatives, I think? And
No.
is it 2 or 3?
So what they recommend is that you, if you've been exposed to somebody tested positive, you quarantine for 14 days or until you get 2 consecutive
Right.
negative tests at least 3 days apart.
Right,
Unless you're Trump.
that's right.
You can do what you want.
That's almost 2 weeks by the time you get it done.
Yeah, he did all right. He got out of the hospital. Did you ever-
Yeah, because you go get tested once, you wait 3 days to
Yeah.
get back, you get tested, it's a week at least.
Well, he's
Well,
trying
I
to
think
get
you
that
can
out
also
there
do
for
the rapid
everybody.
test, which is 24-hour turnaround,
Right,
but you still need to wait 3 days between them.
right.
The rapid's an hour, isn't it?
Is it an hour?
Yeah, the
I
rapid's
know
an
it's
hour.
really quick.
Yeah,
The one my grandson just had was 24-hour
Yeah.
test. It's like
Yeah, those ones though, those are the ones the federal government not using because they said they're not accurate. The one that, Nassau does is 3 to 5 days for results, and that's a more accurate test.
so if we just make a register that says, have you been around any of the symptoms on the sheet? Have you been around anybody that's tested positive for COVID?
But again,
That's
though,
what this
but
says.
again, though, we gotta be careful because
17 ways.
we can't
But
track
that's what
it.
she's saying, we can whittle it down a little.
Yeah,
So,
We can whittle it down a lot to just a question that, there's only
Yeah.
7 of us.
I'll have,
Is
yeah,
everybody, are you guys comfortable with just
Yeah.
answering that question? And if it needs to be more in-depth, Lynn can talk to
Yeah,
him.
if you don't-
yeah, I'm good with that. Let
Yeah.
them do it, because it's really, it's all about the office, right?
Yeah.
right, and,
And you can leave that number you said?
I'm fine with
Yeah, as soon as I get it, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
they haven't been anyway.
Right.
well, also, they've also addressed that other issue about, have you traveled outside of the state of Maine? Because with this upsurge that's coming, I think we should kinda cross out.
Who here
all
doesn't
our-
go into Hampshire?
Well, I mean, but wait a minute.
No, but,
Yeah.
Listen, they
Like
got rid of the
before.
quarantine period. They got rid of the quarantine period for the tri-New England area. That's
Yeah.
gone. That's gone.
Right.
yeah, but what if,
There's,
in the next few months, they become
we
a
don't
place?
have the authority to say you gotta quarantine. It's gone. The state got rid of it.
I mean, they might change it again.
Yeah.
When Chris
In
go in,
which case we'll have
but
to
we'll just
readdress
have to
it. Then we'd
readdress it.
have to readdress
as
it, but it's
morphs into
gone.
something, but, okay.
Well, then maybe that's one of the things we need to take off the list.
Yeah.
We're gonna take everything off
Yeah,
the
we'll
list,
just-
just gonna let them read this and,
I'll just check in with everybody every morning.
yeah, I mean, I think everybody here, if you have a conversation with them, to please let me know if you have a cough, a fever, you're
Right,
not feeling well, and
Yeah, get down through the
everybody's
list.
checked in. If there's a question, then Lynn can email us or call one of us and we can get all together and make a decision whether they should go home. And if Lynn feels that that person should go home till she talks to us, then she can say, why don't you go home till we can talk.
Right.
At least isolate,
What?
or at least
Well,
isolate.
with the
Yeah,
test though,
yeah.
Paul, if you go with the, if it's subjected, instead of doing a real quick test that, comes back with a lot of false negatives, make them do the actual test. That's the one that us as federal inspectors and responders have to use. That's a 3 to 5 day period, and that's when you get your results back. And in that 3 to 5 day period, then, like you said, isolate at that time frame. until the test result comes back. And then with the remote access, that can be done.
If they had contact with somebody.
Right.
But if it's just symptoms, I would say just
Yeah, well, I mean, there's gonna be.
isolate yourself out from the work.
Oh, yeah, no, I get
Don't
you.
have to stay home per se, but take the two girls, Mary Beth was still working in her office and Val could be out front. Just don't.
I just, the thing with the symptoms though, we gotta be careful, cause we're getting into cold and flu season.
I know, well, I think that's what she's trying to address, like if we
Yeah,
took
that's what
off,
I was trying to
if we
say,
took off
that-
like congestion and runny nose and
Because it was
headaches
mostly the back
and
of it.
sore throats and the muscle and body ache.
Take everything
I mean,
off the list and just have them check in with Lynn
It's
and
like-
say, I feel good today, or this is how I feel.
But I will say the main thing that seems to be the factor for the most of the cases and that they're doing it with the childcare centers at the base is temperature readings. If your temperature is spiked past a certain temperature,
You shouldn't,
you should go immediately.
you shouldn't be at work anyway. If
Well,
you
no,
have
I
a
agree.
temperature,
Right.
you're infectious, no
Right.
matter what you have, so you
Right.
shouldn't.
They showed a thing on TV not that long ago that, they had people that tested positive, didn't even have a fever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they,
I mean, it's.
But to get in the
That
hospital,
goes to temperatures, like you
Yeah,
just
I was
said,
reading
you
this
get
last week, I'm like,
that bad tooth will give you a high fever,
I'd stay home anyway.
Yeah, I would too, yeah. I mean, if I'm sick, I ain't going out, I'm just not.
Well, the other thing you have to remember is if you, need a sheet because
Uh-oh. He just keeps on surprising us.
if you're showing certain symptoms,
We gotta give them.
you may be eligible for reimbursement
Oh, yeah,
and the payment, so we have to be careful of that.
yeah.
So we have to make sure we.
I
allow
knew
for
that.
You're talking about Lynn's magic file.
Yeah.
And if they do go for a test, they automatically go into, COVID pay status.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so I have no problem with what's being suggested.
okay.
It shows
Is
that we're
everybody
doing
else okay with
something.
that? Yeah, we're doing something about it, and
And I have talked to the girls up front and they thought we were being, I was being too restrictive.
yeah,
So they were willing to take more of a chance, so.
yep, and
That's they were
a
my
little
concern.
common sense goes a long way.
I
If
do-
it's,
I do wanna bring one other thing up. If somebody is under quarantine for possible COVID, I don't think they should bring paperwork back to somebody and hand it in. No, I'm just saying,
Yeah, I get that.
because,
Yes.
because now the person that's handling that,
Yeah, it doesn't, no,
that does no good.
No, well, wait a minute though, but it's been debunked. The germs don't last, it's just like.
like, if they sneeze on it, it's wet, when they hand it out there or something like that.
Listen,
You
I'm
wanna-
just
you
telling you,
wanna
they
touch it?
debunked it. They debunked it. You can look it up. It was debunked.
If it's
Because they
still
were worried
wet.
about, the germs staying on there for a long time, or, being transmitted after so many days or even hours. They said that's gone. But you
If
can
it's
look it up.
minutes, if it's minutes.
Minutes.
Well, I mean, if you're blowing your nose with a piece of paper, why are you giving it? Like, here, here's my snot
You
ring.
understand what I'm saying?
All right, what's next on that long list?
Right? Hey, wait a minute. Oh, here.
Did you want to take some of those things off, the simple things?
Taking them
That's what they're
all
doing,
off.
they're all coming off, that's what we were just talking about. They're gonna, the girls are gonna go through it, just so you're clear, they're gonna go through it, they're gonna look at it, get what
I'm gonna
they,
do a health
it's
check
gonna be
every day.
addressed. Just all agreed to that.
And if they didn't, we agreed for them.
I went through the expense summary report today for the latest. And all in all, I mean, we got some high percentages from spent, but for items that have gone,
Yeah.
either we buy now or we'll use for the next 4 months. So nothing spent. I didn't
However-
see,
I know, there's gonna be.
no, there wasn't really.
No,
There
there
wasn't
wasn't.
any real problems that stood out, so I'd say we're on track right now.
Keep them
Which is good
numbers.
news.
Yep, it's bad news.
Next page.
I could have brought it up on the, AP. They had the, forestry truck in for repairs. And that one hit us hard, so I don't need it. It hit us hard because that was a major repair on the forestry truck. I think it was about 8,000.
It was, wait a minute.
For For the fire department?
Yep, $6,748.27. And the other piece was, only $555.52.
Can I see that?
Sure.
Just not the cheap one, just the.
Well, there wasn't purchase orders for either one of them.
He doesn't need purchase orders to spend his budget money, does he? I'm never.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yeah, it was over amount. Now, I was just gonna actually ask you, isn't this the one they brought here and they gave us all the, contracts over the phone and stuff? That's why I wanted to, remember? He was here, he didn't have the 3 bids and then he
No,
did.
that was the Jaws.
Yeah,
Does a job of life.
that's all.
Yeah,
He mentioned the truck that meeting though. I thought he had.
You mentioned the yellow truck.
Yeah, yellow truck.
Oh, okay,
We should have brought this up while he was here.
yeah.
No, I was going
It
to.
wasn't, it
You were
wasn't
going to, but you decided not to?
Kinda ran out.
Oh, that's my fault, I didn't think the time was right to bring it up.
Okay.
Well, then,
But I don't really have a problem with happening with that one. We do need to just
you gotta have the
make sure
bids.
you understand.
Do you wanna call him, Karina, and talk to him?
If you give me a copy of that, Paul, that you said you had, I'll make sure to deliver it to him.
I don't have a signed one, I'll
Okay.
have to check with Stacy, the one I have is the draft. So,
Well, a draft,
I
it
don't
was,
know if it's the same, I have to sign one.
is that something that's on the documents that's on our computers that maybe Lynn can print out?
She has to do that.
Yeah, but it was in our emails. I mean, it was sent to us in emails. Wouldn't that be in the email account, under documents?
If it was sent to your email, you still have it then.
That's what I'm saying. I can't print anything off my phone.
Let's see if we can find it. No,
Can't you just get it from Stacy?
well, that's the other thing, well, Stacy can maybe now, see if she has it.
Okay.
Thing is, I don't know, did we actually implement that? I know we signed it, but do we have any stipulations that the new chief had to accept it?
I thought, well, I was gonna say, I thought we actually gave him a higher dollar amount.
Well, no, it's only 3,000.
That was for the credit card.
Those the credit card, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we discussed it, and I actually remember the truck being mentioned too, cause he said there was a problem with it,
You know, there's trucks, other problems with a lot of the trucks.
yeah.
And I realize when you get in the middle of tearing one down and fixing it up, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah,
Yep, and right now, we're down one engine. Three, Permit.
The yellow one that we got from Berwick.
yeah, it's just not usable, so.
Well, it's usable for,
parades.
no. I don't think so, because if it runs slow, it builds up on oil. But it's usable to respond to scenes and carry the crew and equipment. It's not usable as a pumper.
for the pumper one?
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying.
It's a bus.
Yes, it's a bus with storage, yes.
Like I said.
So maybe that's why he wanted the forestry
You want
one.
one upset homeowner? Bring that up to me and I'd sit there.
No, it would be the second truck. But the forestry truck, he could only fill halfway with water because the tank was cracked and it would
Right.
spill out, so.
Yeah.
Maybe because the other one couldn't use the pumper, he felt it was necessary to repair that one as opposed to the other one.
Can't they get, forestry one, can't they get it the tank welded?
It's done.
Yeah.
It's all fixed now.
Oh, it's all fit?
But when they had it there, they realized that there was no brakes. And then they had a rusted out brake line, so they had no brakes in the back to start with at all. And it just, but what I'm seeing him doing, is he's taking the truck and he's saying, fix it, get it
Yeah.
right, get it up to speed, and he's gonna maintain it.
Yeah.
And I can see he's gonna do that.
Yep, absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't know what choice he has, as long as we can give him the money to keep going.
Has he just, I know on the Hooper report, did he get a copy of that?
Yes, he does it.
Then he realizes that we probably have too many trucks, and does he have a
Oh,
plan for the
he
trucks?
said that, so.
Hooper said, it was
No,
in the Hooper report,
Chief
yeah.
Flynn said it too.
But did he have a plan, has he developed a plan?
He's working on that, he's working that, and I'm working with him on that, so, yes, he is definitely good. He's got a good handle on it.
Yeah, he does,
And he's trying to do it right, and he just needs a little more time, but it is a big project, but I did ask him to try to put something together, because when budget season hits,
No, they're gonna
they gotta know the numbers. So he's working on that.
what he was working on actually seemed like it was gonna actually saved the town a lot of money per year.
Yeah.
I send out
You
emails
know?
to department heads about budgets, is it about time to do that?
Yeah, you can, unfortunately, I just haven't had a chance to catch
I'll put some,
her caught up enough so that we can sit down and print
Yeah.
those out.
I'll put some.
Hopefully after everything is taking place now, things have quieted down a little bit, we can get back to normal, so, which would be great. Alright.
You might also wanna, remind him about that payroll issue.
What payroll issue?
There was the overtime.
Still happening.
Okay. Deborah?
Would they pay me too much?
No,
Maybe.
when we have
I
part-time
no
people,
overtime.
when we have part-time people,
Not
after
in
so many weeks of
What
overtime.
can I do for you, Paul?
Can I put half dozen
Whatever you
questions on, please? Would you mind moving up to the chair for a second?
Uh-oh.
I'm not worried. If it was,
No, just like, I don't know what the hall is about. I was working on Paradise Road, and you was having the issues with the floodplain, is that all taken care of now?
correct, that was the appeals board, it wasn't just me.
No, I'm sorry, you're right.
But,
Sorry about
no, as far as I know, that has not been remedied with the appeals board. We did ask Jen to send them out a letter, letting them know of our last meeting and asking them to come in. We told them that when they came in, it was just a general meeting, and when they came in, we would stop what we were doing and address their situation. They did not come in, even though we had asked them to come in. We have a public hearing on the 9th, the 9th. We have a public hearing on the 9th,
Can I ask a question before you keep going? Is this the house that moved the road?
Yeah,
Okay. I thought David handled that.
so they have an open appeals board case. So either David or somebody has to come in and give us those things, and we've already talked about that already twice in meeting.
Oh, no, I know,
and
but I
it's still
thought you
not
said that-
resolved.
I think I didn't know the floodplains thing was part of the appeal.
Well, it wouldn't have been if it hadn't been brought to our attention, but now that the house is there and there's a definite question from the DEP as to whether or not we had addressed the floodplain issue, and we were not able to answer DEP without those documents, and DEP suggested highly that we look at them, so again, I'll tell you that this hasn't been resolved. You have not, as.
But wasn't the
select
appeals board, wasn't the appeal just for the distance from the road?
it wasn't until she.
It was until, no, not she, because this is the
This is
same
the board.
mistake that
I'm
Chip
sorry.
likes to make.
I'm sorry.
It's required of us 20 days prior to any appeal, that has to do anything with water, which this is right on the river. It's required of us legally to send that documentation to DEP for an answer from DEP. If we don't do that, we're outside of
I
the law.
understand that.
So we sent that to DEP, and DEP said, you better be looking at
So-
that delineation.
So
We
wouldn't
have not gotten it.
the delineation then go to David first? And not to the appeals board, because the appeal was on the distance from the road? So the delineation would be David's job to look at, and if he okays it, then the appeals board shouldn't have a problem with it, but if he doesn't okay it, then tells them no, then they would need to go to the appeals board to, I don't know why you're
You're
laughing
like
at me,
going,
Deb.
well,
I'm
no, I
asking
was
a question.
laughing at Jen's face.
Oh.
Actually, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Chuck.
No, I mean, I don't understand the whole process, but it seems to me the appeal was based on the road. And if they say, look at the delineation, they should be talking to David to look at the delineation.
David would look at that first
Well, let me just ask,
for access for that.
has the appeals board signed off the paperwork?
No, we have not.
So they has not got the loan?
As far as I know, they have
That's the
not.
problem. They can't sign off until that.
No, we haven't.
But my question is, whose job is it to look at the delineation? It shouldn't be the appeals board, it should be David's job.
That's probably true.
Okay, so if that's the case, if David looks at it, tells them it's fine, then, I mean, the delineation should be looked at by a code officer, not the appeals board.
Well, actually, DEP has to look at it, correct?
Actually, it was supposed to be sent by us to DEP to get a decision from DEP so that we could make a determination.
Wouldn't it be
That's
David
how-
that contacts DEP then, with the delineation?
Oh, I understand.
Ju-
It's evidence from DEP for the appeals board. The appeals board
Correct.
can't make their decision until they get the response from that paperwork from DEP.
Right, which David, it would be David's responsibility to send it to.
Right.
No,
No.
it is not. It is our responsibility to send it to DEP 20 days prior to a hearing. We sent them all the rest of the paperwork and they came back
Highly
to us
suggested,
and
or they
said,
told you you have to?
they said that, why don't you, can you pull that up from them and just read it? So
It
that,
started on February, where
Correct.
I had brought this up and explained it to Mr. Berube, and
I mean, I don't care one way or the other, Chuck, but to be honest with you, the chairman and the select board cannot tell the appeals board what to do.
I'm not
But,
saying we should, but I'm saying the appeals
I'm
board should
just
follow
saying-
the rules. And if the rules
Right,
are David
correct.
needs to make a decision and not the
But
appeals
this
board,
was, it came
David-
to me from the DEP, so I'm just trying to follow
Yeah, they
the
said-
DEP
right.
instructions.
and my question is, did the DEP say, you guys need to look at the delineation? Or does David need to look at the
They said
delineation?
we need to get it and send it to them so they can make a
They
determination.
need to get it, so it would probably come from the
But I
contract.
think you see this code guy is supposed to be checking that
Then
before,
forward it to them, and then to DEP.
before anything's even done
Before
on
it's
it,
ever even built.
before ground's even dug.
But I don't know if that was David's permit, I don't know if that was,
Oh.
I don't know whose permit that was originally.
Who
So-
knows with Gilly?
Right. I don't know. Just saying. I only hear it when it's all done and something's wrong, that's when it comes to me, so.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I have a quick question. That reminded me, they were talking about the fire truck. While she's looking that up, that particular email that came out that she was referring to. I think that email should be directed to our lawyers and our lawyers only, and only the lawyers should be responding to that.
With the fire truck?
No,
Oh, about the other, yeah.
the other thing.
Yep.
And, you know, and we can go into an executive session and discuss that and the reasoning and why I say that. It's, I don't know if it's a executive session issue, I just wanted to make sure.
Public document.
Hmm?
It's a public document,
What is?
But it's,
that email. Once it was shared between all the selectmen and discussed in meeting, it's a public document.
hasn't been discussed yet, that's what I'm asking.
It was
Discuss it
discussed here in public meeting.
with her
Brought
and
up
the chief, okay. Well, I'm gonna make a motion, if I can do it, Chuck, that particular email, the one that they were discussing.
Yep.
Gets sent to our lawyer, and our lawyer deals with it going forward, no matter who's involved, and only the lawyer. I have my reasons.
Yeah.
Because that was, suggested to me by, email,
Yeah.
because of the history of the person involved.
So I have no problem with that. Is there a reason we shouldn't do it, Paul, the way you're looking at me?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to understand what we're doing here, so.
Just have the
That
lawyer
particular
review the email.
That particular email that went out, it was advised to me after I found out what happened, I made a few phone calls, state fires, Marshall,
You did
York
too?
County. After Chief Flynn called me and told me what happened. And they suggested none of us touch that particular email from anybody, we don't respond to it, we don't talk to them, and it goes right to our lawyer. Because there's a history there with that individual.
No problem.
I'll second it then.
Amen.
All in favor?
Okay, there it
That's
is.
to our lawyer tomorrow.
I'm glad you looked into it too.
I guess.
He looked into it for the chief, Karina.
He said, I guess there goes my FOIA request.
Well, there you go. It wasn't nothing special, it was, whatever.
Yes, Jen.
Okay,
Go
so
on.
I had sent
Wasn't
the appeal application because if there's any.
Roll your eyes on the lawn, it wasn't. I'm telling you.
Hold on, Jen. Just, you all set? Everybody good?
I'm good.
Okay.
You would send it to the FOA anyway, and then she determines what it is.
Right here to give to you after we're done with the meeting.
So I had sent them the appeal application because we're supposed to send anything to the wildlife people and to them if there's any question of anything that's going on.
Correct.
And it started with the road and where the house was placed and everything else. So I sent him to that and then went through, he had asked if there had been a wetland delineation done on the lot. And because we had talked about this before when this whole thing started. And then it went.
What's a wetland delineation? That's not a floodplain delineation, is it?
No.
It shows,
No wetlands flooded, right?
That's different.
yep,
I thought you said it was a floodplain delineation. Okay, I'll let you go
That's
on.
even
Okay, go
later.
on. All right, go on.
And
Wow.
I'm trying to figure it out, Deb. I don't know anything about this, so I need to ask questions. I'm sorry
I know,
if
but
asking
it's-
questions is
it's-
upsetting you.
That
It's
river,
not
has-
upsetting,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, you said, wow, like.
that river has
I'm just
always,
trying to do the right thing here, and I feel like I'm being.
learn. So I can ask the right questions, Deborah.
so, he had got back in touch with me, he said the right of way crosses a map stream and there seems to be a forested wetlands within the vicinity. It's up to determine whether the wetlands have a setback under the Natural Resources Protection Act. The stream, if it is in fact a stream, would have a 75-foot setback. So then he feels that it would be, I went through the thing, when he came in for his permit, blah, 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 blah.
So the setback was met.
I don't know, because he doesn't have the
We don't.
delineation of the,
No, but I'm saying, what did you say to him? Did you, so you didn't tell him the setback was met?
no, because we were touching base with him
Okay.
about the wetlands and stuff on the property, not as far as where his road was or anything, just
Okay.
on the property itself. He says, my recommendation would be to request a wetland delineation to confirm locations of streams and wetlands. And then he can comment on potential setbacks under the Natural Resources Protection Act. So
Which is what we did.
that goes along with wetlands and whatnot is flood.
So he said his recommendation though.
Correct. And then the board voted to follow that
So,
recommendation.
can you read that line again?
It says, my recommendation would be to request a wetland delineation to confirm locations of streams and wetlands. Then I can comment on potential setbacks under the Natural Resources Protection Act.
Okay, and you requested that to him, and he hasn't sent it to you yet?
Correct.
Okay.
And
And
that's,
we're in the process of it, cause I touched base
Right.
with her, was it Caroline?
and so we voted as a board,
You touch base with them, or when?
What?
Really? Can I find out when she asked for it, so we can get to that point, Deborah?
well, you asked me a question, I'm trying to
I didn't ask you
answer
a question. I didn't ask. What question did I ask you, Deborah?
You asked me what the verbiage was and where this goes from here, and I'm still trying to answer you.
Right.
Because I still haven't been able to answer you. Chuck.
So. I touched base with her.
Me too. Sorry.
Asked if Mr. Berube had obtained the additional information people needed to present to the appeals board. The next meeting is October 19th. Hi Jen, he's having Mr. Bayer move lines and new deeds written, so he will not be needing a variance. This was an expensive fix for something that the selectmen could have just written a no action letter, which
You couldn't.
But when was that sent to you?
hold on one second, I'm going through. So he was talking about that was October, okay, I'm going backwards here. I'm sorry, my mind's kind of.
No, that's okay.
I'm gonna be late picking up.
No, take your time. Oh, you can leave if you have to.
So they have an extension until October 30th, they said.
Wow.
Come on.
Who, for their loan?
But yeah.
Sounds like they wanna go forward without the paperwork.
Yeah. And the bank's gonna request the appeals board thing, so they're,
Board can review the updated information this
So
coming
it's up
Monday,
to
the
the customer to
19th.
get it done.
It can be heard under other business. And we said we can stop the discussion because it was just a regular meeting and resume it, so she wouldn't have to wait until the end of the meeting for other business, so we could sit there and do that for her. And
Not to go off topic or anything, but did the governor put down that new executive order or anything today? Cause
Yeah,
it she
until
did,
November 27th.
okay. Cause it was originally extended to the 29th. Okay.
So on the 15th said technically this matter is still open to the appeals board. In order for it to be officially closed, the board will have to have the copies of the new deeds and a copy of the wetland delineation survey. He had one for across the road, but not for this lot. These can be submitted after Monday for the board to review, so it can be officially closed.
And he's never gotten
That's when I
back?
asked if they would have it ready for the meeting on the 19th, and that, we had said we could stop the meeting so we could hear them. We wouldn't have to wait until the end, and she's saying that, she says, thanks, Jen, if it's all complete, we'll be there to submit it. We have an extension to close the house on Paradise until October 30th. I haven't heard anything today on the completion, so I'm expecting it next week. And
So it's just, they're gonna bring it to you. So it sounds like, right?
They're gonna close without it.
That's what it sounds like they're gonna do, is close without it.
Can the planning board make a decision, or do you need to send them?
No, they need the delineation before they can make a
No,
decision.
let's say
can't
they put
make
the
them.
paperwork in, then they need to send it to DEP, and the DEP needs
Correct.
to respond.
Yeah.
And then the DEP gives
Right.
us their recommendation, and then the board votes on their recommendation.
So there's no way they're gonna have it by the.
I guess why is your question there? Have they contacted you?
No, my question came up only because tracking, because she brought it up and I.
Hadn't heard anything.
And I track that stuff.
Okay.
Sorry. but-
Yeah, no, I get you, I get you.
It's valid.
Yeah.
We've been waiting.
I was concerned that it was just hanging there and nothing was happening.
Yep, and it sounds like it's
I
their,
didn't know if something.
So
it's gonna be their problem and not
The
here.
problem is, Paul, is that then if the bank goes forward with that, and this is open with the appeals board, and later, much later even, down the road, maybe even after I'm dead and gone,
Yeah.
that house floods, and the appeals board did not properly finish that, or did not properly give the DEP the requested documents or ask for a decision, at what point is the town then liable for not
I
following
wouldn't
through?
be, DEP would be. Then they-
No,
We give an occupancy
he
permit?
requested that from us, and we have not yet given it,
Should we?
so
Request what?
the delineation,
Delineation, but that's the floodplain setback.
right,
can we
Because they didn't look good.
I know that place,
So-
it's not really a wetland, but I have seen that come up over there
Of
and
course.
right near Flood Johnny Stewart out.
Yep,
yeah,
Paul?
and so that's, I also know that about that property, and so, I mean, at what point do I say like, okay, fine, turn a blind eye and walk away, and six houses, six
That's when
people
you
down the
come to-
road that come here from somewhere else and buy that property, and they lose everything because we didn't do our job.
That's when you put DEP on the spot and say,
It's not DEP, DEP requested that paper.
My
you know why,
question
they
is,
don't wanna get involved.
I don't think it matters about the flooding, because they're gonna need to require, the insurance company's gonna require that, they're gonna need to get flood insurance. The problem is if it's too close to the wetlands, then the town authorized it, and it's, because
What
this is a wetlands delineation, not a floodplain delineation.
Great Brook, it's right on the Great Brook. Right on the Great Brook, that's where all that water that you see flooding, that's where that comes
I
from.
know that, I used to run around through there, fish that whole river and.
The campground was there. Nice trout there.
So, I mean, personally, I can't make a decision on that, and neither can you, but if you want me to ask my board to drop it without the paper, I'll ask them, but I don't know if they're gonna.
No, the problem isn't flooding, Deborah, the problem is that it's built too close to a wetlands, because they want a wetlands delineation. They don't want delineation for flooding, because when they get their flood, when they buy their house, they're gonna need a flood insurance, then they're gonna need to, that's not the problem is it might be too close to the wetlands.
So they should have done that when they built that other house on Union School Road.
But we should have done that on this one, and we gave the building permit,
Correct.
requested the delineation to make sure it's far enough from the water, and we never got it.
Then how did they get our
No, I'm asking.
building permit?
So, because Mr. Berube insisted that it was on a hill and it did not need to be delineated, after I explained it to him, showed him the maps that I got off the thing, explained it to David, David explained it to him. So.
And they have their occupancy permit?
Mm-hmm.
Alright,
So it
I
was
guess it's up to the bank.
brought up several
Yeah.
times and explained to
okay.
Mr. Brody and
But my point is, how did he get his building permit and his occupancy permit without giving that delineation? And we've asked that question, I'm not getting an answer, because without that wetlands delineation and without all the proper paperwork, I don't understand how he got a building permit and an occupancy permit. I don't understand how that happened, and I don't understand how all of this got caught by the bank and by a state agency and not right here in town. You understand? So,
I hear you.
I mean, I have my concerns, and if the board is asking me to.
No one's asking you to do
Flush it
that, Deborah, so you can stop saying that, okay? No one's asking you to push the paperwork through. I was trying to understand the situation and the process. And those questions
Do
you
you
just asked
understand
about.
now why I keep asking for all this paperwork? Because I'm being asked for it, and I think it's the proper way to close this case. And I don't wanna just leave it sitting open, and I don't wanna ignore that my board asked for that paperwork from him. That wasn't my decision to ask for it, that was DEP, and then my board followed.
I understand now. I didn't understand the whole process till she read the emails. And no one's asking you just to push it
Well,
aside
I
or anything like
understand that
that.
you're preoccupied, but we've talked about this before, and I've already given all
Yeah,
this.
but you talked about flooding, and the problem is not whether the house floods. That's the customer's
It's
problem.
also part of.
It's not part of it. The delineation for floodplain has nothing to do with it. The delineation problem is the distance from the wetlands, according to the email and the building. Yeah, James?
A solution, Deb, might be if the planning board opts to send a letter stating if the documentation hasn't received
The
in
appeal.
a timely, fashion, then the, request will be denied.
it's not the planning board.
It's,
I'm
right,
sorry, not the appeals board.
I knew what he meant,
Yeah.
but,
I think maybe you should contact the bank tomorrow and say it's denied.
I should,
But isn't that who contacts the bank? Have you been dealing with who?
no, everything usually goes through Jen, who's the land use clerk.
On behalf of the appeals
And
board.
I cannot deny it, I have to ask my board, and it has to be a legal motion and a vote, just like
I understand that, but
everything
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we can-
The appeals board could deny it,
else. We could deny it.
and then they wouldn't be able to close, and that would solve our problem.
Is dealing with the
correct?
bank.
Yeah.
None of it will solve our problem, but they'll
It'll-
bring it to a solution.
Yeah, it'll make
Correct.
them, the bank will then not close with them,
Yeah.
which will make sure that it's built the right distance from the wetlands before a bank closes.
Let's just say that we don't, hope the bank won't close with them.
If we notify the
Right,
bank.
but you didn't,
if we
you've done all we could do.
Right,
Yeah, if we notify the bank that this is still an open issue before the appeals board, since they're the ones who started the whole thing, that might convince them not to.
yeah, maybe,
That would
maybe
be
an email,
contacting them before the
So,
appeals.
maybe,
As the chairman, I can ask the board to direct the land use clerk to send the bank an email and have them notified that this is still an open case
right,
before the appeals board, because there has been no decision.
right, but if you don't
yeah.
get, could you not say to them that you, at the next meeting, you were gonna make a motion to deny it if you don't receive the paperwork, and ask Jen to send that email to the bank, that it's still open. At next meeting as chairman, I plan to make a motion to deny this appeal because the paperwork has not been received in a timely
You know
manner.
who the bank is, right?
It would be on,
It's on their plan.
And it's not saying that it's gonna get denied, because Deborah doesn't have that authority, but she
Right.
says as a chairman, she's gonna make a motion to deny it. They will be nervous enough to push it back.
Waiting for its bank.
I think that would be smart, considering that our meeting isn't until the 9th, and they've obviously made plans to go ahead with closing on the 30th, which would be tomorrow, the week before that, yeah. Yeah, I would be
Why don't you-
comfortable signing that letter.
All right, why don't you come up with an email and give it to Jen, and tomorrow morning you can send it? Does that work for everybody?
I'll do it tonight, Jen, and
should I
I'll send it.
contact her tonight? I gotta pick Mason up
Whatever
I can
works for
come
you, it's
back
late,
and-
whatever works, however you wanna do it.
and do it if you want.
Yeah, if you wanna, contact her and let her know that I'm gonna send the bank that email, and then, I mean, it's up to the bank then after that if they close or not on it, but I don't think any bank, receiving that kind of information would continue with the process. I mean, I think we've been more than fair. I mean, we didn't deny them right that day, we allowed them the extension, and, And now this is twice they haven't been in, so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we'll go with it then, Jen, thank you.
Should you also send the email to the landowner?
Uh-oh, here he goes again.
Yeah, no, Jen, she's probably right, that letter should probably
Shall
go
give you
to, Cudworth and Mr. Ruby.
Jake Hudward?
As his
Oh,
agent.
Karen, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And,
I thought she
Mr.
said a butter, so.
No, I said the landowner.
You got one? Does
What
Deb
are
get
we
one of these?
passing out here that I'm
Yeah,
not getting?
does-
Yeah, you should be getting one, did you
Yeah,
get,
yeah.
Thank you.
did I give you two?
Yeah, give one to her.
Okay, sorry. You need to get under.
Ah,
Come on,
okay.
Jack. You can't move back.
If you read page 2, second,
Can I read page, oh, this is my letter?
read the second page first, and you know what this is all about, this is the
Right, I do.
request I sent to her. And then the answer I just got today at 5:07.
Would've been nice if I had it beforehand, but where am I reading, page 2?
You know how you
where?
feel.
Bottom?
And that's the question I asked, as you requested, and then the
Okay.
first page is the answer that I got back.
Okay, I'll read the answer first then.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys are going into an executive session at the end, right? Yes.
Are we going to another executive session?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll touch base with you in a little bit,
Break out the phones, gotta put them up.
No, we missed that the last one.
Yeah, we did. That was, now I just remembered, see? Supercell. Well, we did no executive session, I made that motion a while ago. For cell phones. So, put them in there.
I mean, if you get one person that's the only one that's being bothered by this, I think there's a way they can get together and kind of figure a way to do it all, you know what I mean? The way if that's the way I read it.
Yeah, well, the question that was raised was, do they have to be seen?
Correct, and she
Which says-
did say in training they had to be seen.
Yeah, well,
But now, I just wanna make it clear that seems to be the back and forth issue, cause that's been the issue we've had all along is
right,
if she sits one week and tells us they have to be seen, and then the next week they don't have to be seen. I mean, I'll do, as far,
this is why
right,
I like this.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I have no problem with it. I'll go to my board again and ask them. They've been pretty serious about not, going with that. I'll ask them again and I'll share this with them. We're going to meet again, on the 9th. But, I mean, I can pull rank on this one, obviously, and make that decision. But I think I've been pretty open with my board members and I've allowed them to participate in all decisions because I think that's clearly more fair. And I'll read them this, or I'll make a copy and pass this out and ask them, where they want to progress from there. I'm not sure, are they suggesting that we do this on the telephone?
I'm
Like
guessing
a
Zoom.
speakerphone?
I'm guessing
Well,
Zoom.
yeah, like we were doing the call-ins during the regular meetings during the year when we weren't having people in here, call in like you did it a couple times, so everybody can hear it.
So we're just having call in on
That's what it
speakerphone?
says.
Because,
Potential.
and then, so then what do we do if they can't hear him?
Well, he needs to be,
Then we need to,
he needs to be heard and,
he has to be able to hear
Yeah,
even
correct.
members of the public.
Right.
So,
speaker.
I mean, we could always try it with one meeting, Paul, and see how that works, and if it doesn't work, so maybe I'll email that, member and invite him to call in, for the November 9th public hearing. I mean, it's one that we're all pretty familiar with. As you know, we can, try it, I mean, and then we can kind of make a decision from there. I can't make a decision without knowing. And I don't, feel it's right for me to make a decision without the rest of the board, because they've been 100% committed and they've been here, so.
Yeah, I just want to give you the answer and share it with everybody, and so I just got it tonight, so.
Okay.
Which brings me up to November 9th.
Okay.
You sent an email out to all of us in regards to James.
That's
Oh, yeah.
correct.
Do you need something from us?
I just wanted, my email was in regard to, I didn't know how to utilize him as an expert witness. I was going to ask him to come, because he's familiar with all the marijuana policies and all of the goings on and the changes and the lawsuits going on, not here in town, but in Maine regarding the marijuana policies. And because this is a marijuana issue, I'm just not as familiar as he is with the marijuana statutes and laws and how they're changing. James has continued to be a witness with this gentleman in previous cases, and I didn't know if I call him as an expert witness, I no longer can say he's the chairman of the cannabis committee, because he's not. There is no cannabis committee. I'm not sure how to address him as an expert witness for that, or if I can call him as an expert witness for that. I don't know how the board wants me to address
Why
that.
can't you? I mean, should be.
Because he's no longer the chairman of the cannabis committee,
Right.
so what, if he's an expert witness, how do I say he's an
Former.
expert witness?
Former chairman of the cannabis committee.
And you think that,
Well, go ahead.
The nuanced difference is I no longer can speak with any town authority,
correct,
Oh, I guess.
so I would be coming in as an outside, just like any
Oh,
job.
like a contractor, like, you'd have to be paid.
No, absolutely not.
More of an educator to the people that
Yeah,
don't
that
know.
would be the right terms. I'd be an expert witness, whereas before I was a town
Right.
representative.
Well, I hate to question that, but expert?
there is no expert.
Very knowledgeable.
Yeah, experts are probably too strong.
If I was a lawyer sitting here, like we challenged you last time.
Yeah, a more informed witness, how's that?
Paul, I do believe that our code enforcement officer did take up the update on the marijuana policies in this town. Did he not take that class today?
Yes, I think you did.
So our code enforcement should be up to speed on that as well.
So the code enforcement took the class today. I'm not, David's coming also, he's required to be here and he's required to be part of those proceedings, but he took the class today, so, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't think that David didn't absorb as much as any human can possibly absorb from that class today.
Oh, yeah, he's good like that.
Yes, 100%, and I would 100% rely, if he told me something, I would 100% rely on it. However, he has not been as immersed in all of this as James, and my board is comfortable working with James. I'm just asking how to go about addressing him.
Yeah, I have no problem with James being there. I'm just concerned about, you're right, the technical words that you use when you introduce him is gonna be critical
Correct,
because of previous experience with
absolutely.
this
So,
client.
which was exactly why I asked that, is that I don't want to be incorrect, I don't want just somebody's title that you use in a meeting can be grounds for an appeals court case, and I don't want to be that one that uses the wrong title, so
I like your former.
former chairman of the cannabis committee. Okay, then that's where we'll go with it, thank you.
And I don't want to lead the appeals board, so don't take this question defensively, please.
Okay,
But why is this a marijuana question? when he's appealing a building permit for a structural building. That's where my
He's
confusion.
not appealing a building permit for a structural building. He's, appealing fees. He's appealing fees,
A fee for the building permit.
correct.
I'm confused now.
I mean, that's all he came forward for us the other night. I mean,
May I read it? Would that be okay? Due to regulations with the town and COVID-19 issues, I was not able to finish my interior construction in the allotted time. I'm asking for an extension of my building permit, which expired in May of this year. He may be given a refund of $2,515 for a new permit.
Correct.
There's no mention of marijuana.
Do you not know what that building is?
Yes, I know what it is,
Okay,
But-
so
but-
there,
but we're
so,
telling the planning board, we do site reviews that deal with strictly building issues, not get involved in marijuana. Just
so
like
there are issues,
Here is.
so I viewed his packet for appeal,
Mhm.
and I have some questions, and I don't know the answers to them. So, and the questions would revolve around his packet, his evidence to the appeals board, which I cannot now ask in front of you because my board is not here, and,
Right, no, I don't want to go there,
right.
but I just wanted to share,
I mean, I can ask, you and I can have, or if you wanna stop, and have executive session, because this is a judicial, I can tell you the questions that I have, why I would be asking James to come, but I can't ask them publicly without my board in attendance. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, it does. Now, again, I don't want to cross over, and I don't want to seem like I'm leading you anyplace.
I just don't wanna get in any trouble, and we've had one.
We both don't.
Yeah, we've had one, legal training, I think we took a lot out of that, but I think we also took enough out of it to be nervous about, how we address, people's issues in public without the other board here, the other rest of the board here.
Can I ask a question there? He's just looking for what, an extension of his building permit?
Yes,
And he's also he's looking for a refund, correct?
Correct.
$2,500 and something
Oh, wait a minute,
refund.
he can't get one or the other.
He's
I mean,
looking for
let me
both.
rephrase that, I'm sorry. It's gotta be one or the other, an extension of the building permit or a refund.
He's looking for both.
Why? Cause you'd have to turn
I
around and pay for it
can't, I
again.
can't discuss that.
Yeah,
could be covered.
Right.
okay, got you.
Because it is an active case now.
Oh, I got you, okay, alright. Well, fair enough. I guess I'll hear it when it's ready for me to hear.
Yeah.
I'm in no hurry, I don't need to know.
Yeah, you can come in here, anybody can come in here, it's a public hearing.
Paul, he raised his hand back there.
No, I was just gonna respond to what you said. I walked in the middle of it, so I didn't.
I didn't know you were back there, sorry.
No, he's not that scary.
I don't know about that.
He is with the back.
Yeah, it's me.
Oh, okay, good enough, David, what can I do for you?
No, I was, no, go ahead.
Oh, did you have a question?
No, I was listening to you
Oh.
about the application, I was gonna answer his question, but I didn't.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't because it's
Yeah, that's
an
right.
open appeals
But
case.
I don't need to know right now,
Yeah.
I'll know what I need to know, so I'm good with
That's
that.
right, that's right.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a good troop, I know. If I don't need to know, I don't need to know.
You won't know.
That's it.
So, did you have anything else for me?
No.
Did I do good?
You did very good. And thank you.
Good job. Gold Star Day. Thank you.
I don't know about a gold star.
Thank you, Mr.
Silver.
Silver star, yeah, I don't know about a gold.
I like platinum
Three.
myself. Alright,
Alright, what next, Paul?
I'll get more.
I know, right? Are you all done?
Good for the executive session.
Alright, go to the town, Deborah,
Hi, Sean.
how are you?
Good. James?
Can I ask a
Yes.
question before I go to go to the town? Does the select board have a conflict of interest policy? Where would I find a copy of that?
personnel policy,
Yeah, it's in the personnel policy, right?
Okay, thank you.
yeah, and there is one to answer your question.
Alright, and before you go, David, did you wanna say anything, or?
Oh, no, I just wanted to address the situation with the questions that she had about the marijuana shop that, the town is allegedly harassing. That shop is the only one that's opened under my tenure here. So the people that, I need to address, that's the only shop that's opened here. And from what she told me, she opened because you just told her to go ahead and open, it doesn't matter, nobody's gonna do anything anyway. And that's right from her
I did
mouth.
not, well, that's
That's right from her
hearsay.
mouth.
That's hearsay.
So, she just, I'm addressing it like I'm supposed to address it until the board tells me not to do that, that's what I'm gonna do. Every email I've been sending, the letters have been forwarded to the board, and until I'm told not to address it, I'm gonna keep addressing it. So when someone says, why didn't you do your job? Just like you say, I'm doing my job. So unless everybody tells me to back off and let them sell marijuana as a home care business, and have a shack that they're selling out of, and have events that invite people in, because they have a porta potty and everything else there, but that's okay. I'm not gonna let that go. I mean, I have to address that situation, or I'm not doing my job.
They had a big event at another location too.
Yeah, like I said, this is the only one that's open under a home care business. They're not supposed to have what they have down there. Home care is home care. Not a
Technically, they all should be
garage.
home care right now.
Just let her be.
Well, I want that addressed, because that is the only place in this town that has opened up since I've been here.
Can I
And
say
that's why
something?
I'm addressing the situation.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Eric, you are our code enforcement officer, you are the one that's registered, you are the one that's licensed. And if that's what you feel, cause it doesn't sound like no harassment to me, it's the first I've ever heard any of it. It's your job, and like you said, if you don't do it, somebody's gonna complain you're not doing it, and if you're doing your job, and it sounds like they're complaining about you doing your job, but as far as I'm concerned, you're the department head for code enforcement, you know your job. I say you do it.
And just to let you know, I haven't even spoken a word to her since the first time that I've dealt with it. I've been dealing with her attorney directly upon her request.
Yeah, alright.
Enforcement is harassment.
Yeah. No, so that goes back to, once we get things, give enforcement authority,
Absolutely.
so.
That it, David?
That's it. We're not gonna address the other thing until the appeals board. I just feel like he's requesting the wrong thing on his application. It's just a waste of everybody's time, in my opinion.
So that's why I have.
So that's kinda, I was like,
There's no original permit, that's the
Right.
thing, so.
I'm just saying, there are
Can't extend
reasons,
something.
and
Okay.
I have questions, which is why I'm asking James to come in, so.
and I'm gonna operate on I don't need to know until I need to know.
You're doing a good job.
I'm sure all know what I need to.
We went through
There
this
you
already.
Hey,
go.
listen, I work for the federal government, I like doing my job, and I don't want nobody breathing down my back. I'm good at what I do, and I'm sure most people like doing their jobs, and when they're good at it, I don't want nobody breathing down their back.
That's
When I need to be
right.
involved, then I'll be involved, till then, I don't care. It comes down to a need to know. Paul's lived from that, he was on the shipyard too, we don't have a need to know, we ain't going there.
Yeah, when I send emails, I send them to everybody, I don't leave anybody out, everybody gets attached to them.
Hey, listen, I think you're doing a great job, and
Thank you.
Chief's doing a great job,
And I did bring it to the board to see if they wanted to address that. I realize you're doing your job, but I wanted to ask about if everybody should be treated as caregiver stores at this point where no applications for retail have been submitted.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's doing his job, and we'll let him do his job, that's why he's here, right? I don't have the license to tell him he's doing it wrong.
We are his boss.
Yeah, but I'm not certified as a code enforcement officer.
But still his boss.
Where's boss when we need to be his boss? He's still the department head as far as I'm
I
concerned.
know, and I just asked a question.
No,
Is that
that's
too
not,
much?
and I just gave my answer on it, when I need to know, I'll know, and I feel the same way about all of us, when we need to know, then we'll know. When we need to be involved, we'll be asked to be involved, till then, let our employees do their job, period.
Asking a simple question, I heard that
I'm not
we could
saying
be
you,
charged
I'm
with
not saying you,
harassment.
I'm saying me, to me, you let your employees do their job, period. Cause like I said, I don't want
Well,
my
he
head
is
full.
a very new employee, maybe he doesn't
And he's
know
doing
he
a
should be
great
doing
job,
it.
he's doing a great job.
Yeah, but
I don't know why, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm gonna stay out of it.
You know what, I'm
Until we
doing
need
my
to be
job by
pulled into
asking
it.
questions too.
Well, since you brought it up, Corinna, if you, I didn't wanna go there, however, you brought it into, illegally into a session that you shouldn't have, and you wanted to discuss it, and you shouldn't have. And
And I
after I'm
waited-
hearing more of
And I
it,
waited to bring it to a public session.
that's because chairman shut it down, because he said you cannot do that. But you were pretty insistent, but listen, from what I'm hearing, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, you are not. You gotta let them work the process, there's processes in place from application permits, to state permits, requirements, code enforcement. Let them go through it. We can't short track anybody's business, that's not our job. Period. Whether we know them or not.
I was just bringing forth that there was a possibility we may get sued
For what? For him doing his job?
for what I told you, that,
No, I know, you said it here, everybody heard what you said.
Harassment.
You know?
but if you don't feel that it's a problem, that's fine.
I
just was bringing it forward.
didn't wanna go there, like I said, I just think we let our employees do their job, that's what they're there for, and when we need to be involved, that's when we get pulled in and be involved. If he's operating within the law and the guidelines of the law, him, the chief, let them do their job, period. That's their job, that's why
I
we
was
hired
asking a
them.
question.
I understand that, but that ain't what you, that's not what you brought, it's not what you brought. You suggested something, and that's not happening. It's not happening, he's not harassing anybody.
Okay, as long as you feel that way.
I do feel that way.
Sorry. You usually hit
Thank you for discussing, though, I just wanted to bring it forward in case it was an issue.
No, well, you brought it up publicly, I just, to
Well,
me,
thank you.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Thank you.
I guess, what do you thank me for?
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You know?
You are so welcome.
Alright, go to the town, Deborah?
Actually, yep, tomorrow night is, Colonial Mobile Home Park. Chuck E. Cheese.
Burning right now.
She makes a lot of ears burn.
Yes,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
are you finished?
I'm good, yeah.
Tomorrow night is Colonial Mobile Homes Park, trick or treat. The traditional style trick or treat, dress your kids in costumes, come on out. There's not gonna be, I want to reiterate 100 times because Crystal told me to make sure everybody knows. There's not gonna be any hand-to-hand giving. The treats will be left for the children to pick up or the parents to pick up and put in their treat bags, which is COVID compliant, and it brings things down from a moderate risk to a low risk when you employ that practice, according to today's guidelines that came out this morning. So, Crystal was ahead of that and had already planned on that, so that's tomorrow night, starts at 5 o'clock, right? 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, yeah.
4 o'clock to 8 o'clock tomorrow night at Colonial Mobile Homes. And then Saturday night is starting at 4 o'clock at Darlene's Pizza. She's having a trunk or treat there, and also beginning at 4 o'clock at mine. Oh, sorry.
We're 3 to 7, yeah.
3 to 7 at Miners. We're having Diamond Edge is going to be coming, Brian Munger, and Three
Brian
Shades
Edge.
of Grey.
Yep.
We're going to be having a fundraiser for the Fire Corporation's Toys for Lebanon Kids. So we want you to all come down, bring new or unwrapped toys, bring financial donations. However, I do not get the money. It goes-
I do not get the money.
Goes directly to Cindy, who will be there. She is the treasurer for the Fire Corporation. She will take your donations and put them to good use for the Toys for Lebanon Kids program. I also want to say that that the Recreation Department had their trick or treat last week. What a blast!
So much fun at KOA.
Georgie did a fantastic
dynamite.
job, and what's her Nicole. They did such a fantastic job. People came in, they drove off through the campground with their kids. Everybody was giving out treats and having a great time. There was music, there was a lot of fun.
It was a good time.
There was some
The kids were
weirdos
great.
throwing candy.
Yeah, like I was, they let
But
me go
yeah,
at the
it
end.
was a lot of fun. Georgie did a fantastic job, and Nicole and all of their, Jessica, that's who I'm thinking, Jessica.
Oh, you're
Brewer.
thinking,
Yeah,
Jess, yes, Jess Rowington, Nicole.
Royington.
Yeah.
They, fantastic
Jen,
partnership
yeah,
there
that's
for
right.
trunk or treat.
Yeah, the kids had a ball.
They sure did. it was so much fun, and I think we've figured out a great new way to trick or treat with your kids. I mean, it was just a blast, so I want to give them a 2 thumbs up.
And they did, and they will be at the event on Saturday, so if you stop down Saturday at Miners from 3 to 7 and you've got your kids and they're dressed up and they're going from one event to the other, Nicole will be there with the excess candy from the rec department to make sure that she can hand that out and distribute it to the kids in town. So if you're gonna drop by tomorrow or Saturday from 3 to 7 and your kids are in costume, there'll be a table there when you drop off your toys.
Is that at Darlene? Oh, no, you're talking.
No, that's at Miners.
This will be at Miners, yeah.
Yeah, then we have Diamond Edge is coming to play. We had Texas Pete scheduled, but his drummer did not want to play if it was going to be called or rainy or whatever. We get that. They don't want to play without their drummer. They have their own sound, and they couldn't convince him. So they didn't want to play outdoors. So Diamond Edge is coming instead, and
Yeah,
you like
they'll be
Diamond
awesome.
Edge. They're awesome.
Trisha, can't wait to see you.
And there will be a cash bar. There will be 50-50 raffles, and from what I understand, we have some raffle prizes coming in as well, and should be a fun night, and I hope everybody comes down. New unwrapped toys for the Toys for Kids program. We know you're real good at that, Jen.
And Eddie B will have the
I want to.
truck, yeah, whatever you want to call it, to have toys and stuff put into, so that'll be great. And you're sponsoring the event, Eddie B will be the stage.
No.
sponsor.
You look concerned in
No,
the corner.
Jeff's tired, you can
I
tell.
was listening.
He is
No,
tired.
Jeff is stewing because he's got something he wants to say
Jeff,
about
I hear you,
it.
I was
Go
quiet,
ahead.
Well, listen, is it okay?
Yeah, I don't know what to say, but
So listen, why I brought that application up, Corinne, and I'm gonna tell you why, because every one of us here were accused of backroom deals, and you brought it in to try to prevent, whatever. And that's why I
What
brought
are you
it up.
talking about?
Hashtag backdoor deals.
no, this Jeff's got the floor,
No, I
please.
got the floor, listen, you just said, about me bringing up that thing that you brought up about the marijuana and the harassment. Reason I brought that up, cause you and whoever blamed us for having backroom deals, and you brought that in and asked us to act on something or discuss it illegally. So that's why. I didn't wanna go there, but that's what you did. That wasn't us.
And once you told me it was illegal, I stopped talking about it and brought it forward this week. Yes.
Okay. Not altogether true, but,
All right,
and Adam,
anything else for good of the town?
I have the information, if you don't have anything else on the COVID testing at Nassau.
Oh, she can do that, and then I'll finish.
okay.
All right, so I got ahold of Kathy, Nassau Healthcare, 15 Oak Street in Springvale, 207-490-6900. They're open Monday through Fridays. It is free testing. They have 2 hours in the morning, generally 9:30 to 11:30. They have 2 hours in the afternoon, which is 2 to 4. Nassau Healthcare is one of 4 state site facilities, and the state of Maine lab supplies the testing material and the costs for this. So Nassau Healthcare is one of the 4 state locations. It is free, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon.
Can you give them the number again slowly?
490-6900, 207-490-6900.
Can I also throw something in there for you? I don't know how, because it's fairly new, Nassau's medical clinic. They will actually, if anybody's having, I know, I see a lot of stuff, people having medical, care, insurance problems or whatever, they will take care of you without insurance.
True story.
So
Sliding
if there's
kids,
people who ain't got insurance for kids' checkups, even dental work and everything,
Psychiatric.
yeah, they'll do all that up there. All you gotta do is just fill out it's like the old, years ago, where we're from, it's like the old JFK medical centers.
Right.
Same idea. So it's for community, and it also is not only for young families, but also elderly, and they'll do even dentures. Cause I looked into it a little bit more after they did the testing, cause I was gonna kinda tie that in with that Virgin Atkins stuff, but that was gonna be something down the road. But just so everybody knows, they will do medical care for everybody at either free or a sliding scale.
Yep.
So.
So the next thing I have for good of the town is progress on the fire station. I'm sure Chief would have addressed it if he wasn't so irritated early, but the paint that was donated by lots of folks in town, the first coat of paint has been put down on the floors at the fire station. it looks fantastic. I shared some pictures online today.
Will they do
That
it
came
after we
from so
left?
many people. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it looks amazing. I went down to Godin Drywall and Joe Godin, thank you for, introducing me to him, Chuck. He was so great, he immediately offered to, give the wallboard, the foam wallboard insulation, for the station. And he said,
Wait a
like
minute.
it,
You didn't know Joe?
I did not. No, I didn't
Yeah,
know
because
Joe.
me to
I didn't know any.
I've known Joe for years, we played
Yeah, I didn't
softball
know
together.
any.
Is that young Joe?
Yeah.
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 He lives up by me now.
Yeah.
But what a nice man, saw
He is a
me
good
right
guy.
away,
He is.
committed right away. He said, when he realized he didn't have it and neither did Camco, he said, just get me somebody or we'll go down. He went down with Chris Fredette the other day and then he asked while they were there, what are you putting up over this? And Chris said, paneling, and let me show it to you. And he showed Joe the paneling and Joe bought that too.
Yeah.
So they have the wallboard and now they have all the paneling to go up on there and 2 thumbs up to Joe Godin for that.
And he's loving being a new father, I just want to throw that out
Yeah, he
there.
does.
Congratulations, and he didn't show me his baby. I've seen all the babies.
Oh, I know him
not his.
personally.
So at any rate, continuing on about the fire station is we have that FEMA trailer there and getting ready to button that up for the winter. Chief and some of the guys are talking and asked if maybe we could get some sheetrock or something to button up underneath that so that the cold isn't going down there and put it right out there. Sean Tedrow stepped right up. Sean was down there today with Chief and Freeman and figuring out what he needs for down there. And Sean Tedrow is going to take care of that for me, putting up the
What they-
plywood.
Certainly.
What they should look at, honestly, before they do that, we do it at the shipyard on the docks, on the remotes we have out there, we put insulation board on the.
So that was actually a discussion that came about today, and I'm not sure how they're gonna do
Okay, I
that.
just throw
So
that out.
I got the donor there, I'm working with him, and
Right.
they'll tell him anything that he needs. You know Sean, Sean's a great guy,
Yeah.
whatever they need, he'll take care of. So, 2 thumbs up to Sean Tetro, today for stepping up for that, and, boy, that, station's coming along, that chief is pretty amazing, and those responders are right on it. Also down in your neck of the woods there, Jeff, and I'm not
Oh,
gonna
the
give
chief, Master
yeah,
Chief,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna give the name,
Yeah.
the last name or the address or
Yeah, I
anything.
gotcha.
Master Chief's,
Just the Master Chief's good, everybody knows who
Yeah.
he
His
is.
porch.
Yeah.
his porch,
Yeah.
and Butchie came down and saw it with me, and everybody was down there working. There were 8 responders down there on that project, and they got it done in no time. Chief was there, and
It was cold.
it was chilly.
Yeah, that's right.
But once you get moving and they're working and everything, none of us were really. Butchie was the only one cold, you know.
T-shirt.
He was in a t-shirt, his teeth were chattering, but that's okay. But yeah, and then he'd come home and he's very emotional. Seeing what our fire
He's a
department.
good guy. He-
Very nice.
What you
nice.
probably don't know about him is does a lot of camera, a lot of pictures, like, you know.
I didn't know, but when I asked him if I could take his picture for LNTF, he gave me a big old smile. He was real happy to have his picture taken with the chief. Very nice man.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to have had the chance to meet him, so I can see why the responders were so impressed with him.
Yeah.
But, so 2 thumbs up to the chief and all of the responders who went down and gave their time and to Lowe's Home Improvement for donating the lumber for that. Because it's always important to note where all this stuff comes from. You know, these are our community
We get table and
people.
chairs.
Oh yeah, we gotta say it, like,
That's right.
that FEMA trailer has table and chairs in there that came from Selectman Butch, they need a
Nice.
place to sit and work in there. And Butch answered the call, brought him down the table and chairs, and that's in there now too, so.
See ya.
Anybody else donate down there that I forgot? I don't think so, I think that's about it for now. I'm still looking for, Chris asked me to, just to put it out there, Chris asked me to find some air hose. Of course, David here is very nice and brought them down a new air compressor, and
I get some air hose, they want it brand new.
you do?
Yeah.
Because I need air hose enough that it'll go up from the air compressor, it has to go down through the ceiling, and it has to hang down to plug in the fire truck so
Probably
that the air
50
brakes
feet,
will. You do?
25 or 50 feet.
Down it goes, and then that's off my list. And also, I need to collect about $1,400 because the door needs to be replaced in the front, and it has to be replaced with a ADA compliant door, which has to have the push bar, emergency push bar exit. It has to be widened a little bit, and they called and it has to have the electric lock in it so that it can be opened with the key card. So it's about $1,400 for that door. So that's my next project up for bids. If anybody's interested in donating, they can get in touch with me or get in touch with Chief. It doesn't matter.
That's for the fire department donations?
That's for the fire department, yeah, for the front door there. So that's next up is we need that door, and it's about a $1,400 wholesale door, so.
And the American Legion, you gotta throw that out
Yeah,
there. They're
actually,
coming around.
I was gonna bring that up too. I stopped by there, the American Legion, and they were trying to button up the old town hall. And they're actually looking for someone to do some drywall and some mudding.
So they have not gotten in touch with me
Yeah.
on that yet, and I know that there was discussion of that, but they did not want to put that out there until they got the proper front steps done, which I know that they're working on.
That's another thing I was gonna mention, that they're looking to get a hold of Scott Garrish that had promised to do a footing, and they haven't been able to get a hold of him. And they wanted to do that so they could get the steps in the ramp to the front, but they, that office side and where the bathrooms are, they need to do a lot of drywalling and mudding
Yeah.
before they can paint. So I volunteered to
They are
paint, but
not,
I don't know how to drywall.
Jim hasn't, Commander Jim has not,
I told him I would mention it.
Yeah, no, I was just
Mention
with
it for
him,
that.
the other day, last week, I was with him, and, we were talking about it, he was telling me they've come pretty far.
oh, have you good?
It looks great.
I haven't been in there, I told him I'd get in there eventually, but they said they're coming really good, they should have power, I think he said the 9th or 10th, somewhere around there.
Beginning.
CMP should be over there, well, 17th.
CMP was sitting up there a little while ago.
Yeah, well, I did call CMP.
You did, see if you could get it done earlier?
I did, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, they were set up really, I think, the 9th to do it, because they even got the, the furnace running, but they're running it off the generator, but they got it running, everything's working, they're gonna get CMP in there, and if they're there, that's even better, that means they showed up, so it's good.
Yeah, so, and the other part to that is that, is a huge thanks to the First Congregational Church across the street, because we were having an issue with some of the ladies can't, the auxiliary can't meet in the cold due to medical concerns, and, Commander Cray asked the people at the First Congregational Church, and they stepped right up, absolutely no problem, so, anybody who, they're a very nice church, Pastor Bob and
My church.
Cam and everybody over there is
Can't do
wonderful, but I just want to invite anybody that's interested in looking into the American Legion Auxiliary. Our next meeting is on the 14th at 10 o'clock a.m. at the church. It will be warm, there will be snacks, there will be coffee, everybody's welcome, and you will be able to see us also at Kohl's on November 3rd. We'll be there with our poppies, and some crafts that we'll be selling, and applications if people would like to join.
And you guys, between the auxiliary and the American Legion, you guys are doing awesome. And I'm gonna say that, listen, I'm gonna say that not only as selectman, but also as a district commander for the American Legion, you guys are doing some awesome stuff over there.
Thank you. I mean, we had some discussion and people were feeling a little down, but, we're only a first year, American Legion Auxiliary. Matter of fact, November will be our 1-year anniversary of our charter, and we''ve been able to
Takes a while.
give money to the Vouchers for Veterans program. We've given over $2,000 towards the American Legion Hall restoration, Old Town Hall restoration. We've been working very hard, so I'm really proud of the ladies, and we have a surprise guest actually coming to our November.
You know what?
You probably heard
People
about
got
it.
a hold of my people, I declined, so.
You're not but, yeah, so there's a surprise guest too, so if anybody wants to come down and join us again, it's November the 14th, and it's at 10 o'clock at the church.
Awesome.
Been a surprise.
Anything else, Deborah?
I think that will do it, Chuck.
Cool. All right, Paul?
Let's go back to executive session, one MRSA 4056A. Make a motion to go into it.
Is
Second,
it personnel?
All in favor, yep.
Okay, thank you. I just
You're
didn't.
not going
know.
back into session after.
no.
No.
Fine, brother, have fun, brother. Hey, can I ask you,
No,
because people are asking
broken.
me, why is this not live streaming?
There's something wrong with it.
And that's what I said, they're like, it's deliberate, I'm like.
I know,
"Oh,
that's
it's
what
not." No, it's
they're all
not.
saying, it's deliberate.